start, and I'm going to take.
So welcome everyone to our Canoe Community of Practice Harm Reduction webinar presented by CAAN, Communities, Alliances and Networks in partnership with the Dr. Peter Center. We are grateful to gather here today and open this space with respect and reverence with Elder Betty McKenna, who did our opening. Today's presentation features Donald Turner, who will speak on navigating grief and loss in relation to substance use. Donald is a proud member of the Blackfeet Nation with Black Canadian heritage and has lived with HIV for over 30 years. A resilient advocate for disability rights, housing equity, aging with HIV, and access to healthcare. Donald draws strength from his Indigenous spirituality and two-spirited identity. Currently serving as the program coordinator for Dudes Club in Chatham, Kent, and a traditional Native community worker in Southern Ontario. Donald is also trained in the medicine wheel facilitator, and a practitioner of various healing modalities. His work includes regional facilitation with the AIDS Bereavement Resiliency Project of Ontario and leading emotional healing workshops across Canada. Donald's approach blends Aboriginal teachings with Western medicine, fostering balance and harmony for individuals and communities alike. So to begin today's journey, we have a few housekeeping items. We would like to remind everyone that this is a safe space for all participants. So please be mindful of language. Harmful language in the comments and questions will not be tolerated. We want to ensure a respectful and supportive environment for everyone. We will have a question and answer period at the end of the session, so please save your questions for after the presentation or enter them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. Please note that this session is being recorded, but the audience will not be visible during this recording. And the Q&A session will also not be recorded, so just so that you're aware that your identities and your questions or concerns will not be posted online. Additionally, the session will be posted on CAAN's YouTube page if you would like to revisit it and see the content later on. So following the presentation, a feedback survey will be made available, and every completed survey will be an entry for a chance to win a $25 gift card. We greatly appreciate your feedback and encourage you to participate, as your input helps us provide more effective and engaging programming and events. So thank you all for being here. And as we listen and embark on this journey together, let us connect with the spirit of this work and honor the lives that are affected by the issues that we are addressing. Don, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you.
Yes, and I give you the floor.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really glad that you asked me to participate with this, because it really means a lot to me around dealing with grief and anger, grief and sadness, substance use. There's different stages of grief, and understand that there's that anger, there's a denial. That denial is the anxiety, the outrage, the depression sets in. It's like, what's the meaning of all this? I don't understand. And bargaining, telling stories. Then the other part of this is the acceptance. I can only speak about when I work and I deal with people. It's about hearing what they got to say, not judging them, but honoring them, their space. They just wanted to talk. I've had a couple of friends that moved on into the spirit world, where we have a different way through the Indigenous lens how to deal or to work with people that use substance. One of the things is that I believe is, for me, it's that just to be there, just be that sounding board, just to be able to be reachable, because sometimes when someone calls on the phone and I need help, I'll be there. We need to work with it in a good way where we understand the person. We don't try to fix them because they're not broke. And a lot of people think they are, but you also have to understand why have they turned to substance. why they are um, stigmatized. I wear a button. It says, I love people that use drugs. And people look at me and they go, what? Oh, I like that. That's cool. And I said, because I do. I have friends of mine that use drugs, and I tell them that every time they put a needle in their arm, what it does to me, it makes me, it kills a part of me. It hurts me. And sometimes I feel like I want to rescue them. I don't judge them. If they come to my home is a safe place for them to be. And but what one thing I have to say is that they respect me, and I respect where they're coming from. So when I check out where they're at, they also have about where is that areas where grief is lying in the body. Um, Grief's got to go somewhere. Like even of us, as some people that the grief is, um, or the person that is using a substance, when they use that, it's affecting us. It's affecting me. And it's not affecting me to the point where I want to go out and use. Like I was telling a story the other day to a colleague that there's this friend I liked, and I wanted to be really part of their life and really connect with them. And I said, I would drive from Windsor area up to Sudbury just to party with you. And they looked at me and told me no. And I go, I thought you were my friend. He says, I am your friend. And I don't ever want to see you do this. And then that to me was a sign that, and it's not the only person, but there's other ones as well. It's where they reached out and we were friends, we were colleagues, we went to conferences and workshops together, and we've always hung together. But they never, ever, 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 not once, have done anything illegal or drug wise in front of me because they respected me. And so this is where when they do it, is like I respect where they're at. I respect whatever choices that they've made, but I still love them unconditionally. I still reach out to them and check in monthly. How you doing? Up. Well, I seen your name on my phone, so I just wanted to give you a call back. And then they said, I'm using less drugs now. Every time I talk to you, I use less. And I couldn't figure out why. And they said, because I want to live the life that you're living. And you live a good way. You work with people, you're out in the community, you're resilient. And I said, well, you got all those things. He said, yeah, but I got a dark side to me. And so I just let them talk. I didn't ask why you got that dark spot. I didn't ask why, when it happens. I didn't criticize them. But only thing I could do is help them along the way. Now, as a front line worker, I have a number of our men that come into the dude's office that use, and they go, Don, I'm afraid now of what, so I let them lead, and then I'll follow. And I don't know how much more I can take of this because I don't want to get a bad batch, or I don't want to die. And they said, well, do you want some feedback? Yeah. Um, are you using less? Have you reached out to the substance abuse programs? Have you reached out to CAMH? Have you reached out to the family service camp that helps people to get off or get a new thing going on in their life? And no, I said, okay, good. Are you willing? If I give you the information, do you want it? Well, yeah. So I give them the information. And I inquired, I asked them to do it from the office while I was there. And then I can witness what they've done. And by me doing that, give them a sense of hope. We have the one guy, he's not using anymore because he's afraid that he doesn't want to die. He wants to reconnect with his family. He wants to be a part of his friends. But as long as he's grieving a loss of his mom, and he needed to go back. And so I teach the medicine wheel. And so I asked if I can arrange a number of men, just men, come and do a circle for you. Are you willing? And he said, yeah. So we did this whole piece of work around culture. We did a piece around connecting with his ancestors. We did a piece around grieving that loss of his mom. And what we've done was I have a woman friend here that helped, and I asked her if she'd come in when we're ready. She came in, and we had her laying on the ground, and a sheet was over top of her. And so I said, well, bud, when you're ready, go ahead. He looked down there and just wept, just wept. And he, when you're ready, just pull the sheet back. He pulled the sheet back, and then he said, Ma, I'm sorry. And these are things he wanted to tell his mom before she died. He was on the street using and whatnot. And then we got him to say his piece, and then we did we call it a switch. And he laid down and looked at himself, at his mom, and gave her the message from her perspective. I already know what you've been doing. I couldn't stop you. I couldn't help you because I didn't know how. But I loved you anyways. And he just bawled, and he just wanted to get the information out because he didn't want to end up dead. And so what he was doing was he was grieving the loss of his mom in order to numb himself, which when he numbed himself, he felt okay. But then he got to the point where people were abusing him. And then now he realizes the different styles of grieving. And so he's able to look at it and say, wow, now I know what to do. But when it comes to our community, we grieve. There's a lot of grief in our community. Yeah, our young people, our old people, our people that have left the communities, and then they come back and they come back wired up. Um, then what we had to do is get a good understanding about what's going on. I really believe that we need to start having a little bit more culture involved in helping with the grief and loss, especially through substance, understanding the substance. They need to create some kind of entrance strategy and an exit strategy. I was fortunate to visit the Robert Peters Center in Vancouver. And the way they had things laid out were they met everybody where they were at. They had a music room. So I really believe that if we've had it accessible for a lot of people, they would not be on the street, they would not be homeless, they would be back into the community in a good way. The dads and fathers and brothers would learn how to be healthy men in a community. And sometimes what happens, especially with the persons that's using substance, they are automatically stigmatized and pointed out as they're a user, they're going to abuse you, they're going to rip you off, they're going to do all these things. So now they already got stigmatized by the community that's out there. But I still find that they're trying to find their path. They're trying to find a way home. And sometimes using substance, they feel with that substance, they're finding their way home. But they're really not, is because you're having on one side of the spectrum, you're one side of the canoe, you got all these people paddling the same way. And on the other side of the canoe, you got these people rocking. So what am I going to do? Am I going to rock with everybody else, or am I going to keep paddling? And if I keep paddling, I'm going to be judged because I'm not part of the rest of the people. So what I find is that if a person, especially with having anxiety, being First Nations and Métis Inuit, we have different teachings in our community. We need to have more grandmothers present to be able to have conversations with people about what's going on. We need to have conversations with our grandmothers again. I have a couple of grandmothers that I deal with. I just, like I said earlier to some people, is that I've had 9 deaths in a month period. In a month. And some were overdose, some were heart cancer. But I grieve different. I grieve differently. It's because I've always helped people into the spirit world. That place where what's is done is done. But it's that being able to have the tools to be able to know what is mine. I remember their memories. I remember the good times. I remember the laughing and the participating. But the one thing that I do is like even with some brothers and sisters of mine that their brothers or sisters have OD'd. And I just make myself available for a safe place to talk to. I have a friend that brother passed away, and then the mother's having a hard time grieving, and the mom's just coming out of it. And I said to him that you need to just let her have her time, is because a parent should never ever bury a child. It should be the other way around. And so when that happens, now there's another grief happening, is where the parent is saying, where did I fail? What did I do wrong? What didn't I do? What could I have done better? And it's not the parent, it's that individual being pulled into another community, to another culture. And then end up what's happening is a, wow, I like this light over here. And it kind of stay over in that light, but knowing that there's a whole bunch of darkness. So there's a lot of unresolved issues. So with that mother, now when I call, I check in, how's your mom? Oh, she's a lot better, thank you. And how are you doing? You know, but it's always about checking in with that individual, because I find that when people move on through some death experience, or like what I try to do is help people navigate through it. And when they navigate, it's about giving them the right information, the right resources, and say, talk to somebody in the community that you trust. Be honest when you talk. Be prepared to, do you want feedback? That's really, really important, is to ask, do they want feedback? And if they say yes, it's all yours. You can do what you want now because you give me permission to speak my truth. And once that happens, you get to the point where the denial, the acceptance, the having reflection. And it's good to have the reflection. So the reflection piece is about, I remember when. I remember when we all went camping and you burnt those marshmallows and then you fell over in the chair because you thought you heard a bear. I remember we went paddling around this camp in snowshoes and you fell down. I remember, no, I fell down. Sorry, not you, what I did. And then they said, and I really like this person. And they says, come on, get up. I can't. You know, I'm laying all on the ground with these snowshoes and can't get out of the ground. Well, I know a way to get him up. Well, down come the shorts, and all you see is these red underwear. I got up, and I ain't got nothing. And I sit there, and I'm just laughing. I said, holy doo-doo, you set me up, you set me up. Oh, we all had a good laugh. Then we figured out that we walked around, we just went behind the building. We thought we walked for miles. And it was just, we just come around the corner and boom, we're there. So these are, when I speak about reflections about those good things, because it's really important to have that. And it's good to have it in that conversation, especially when someone dies from an overdose. What were they like before that? Talk about those things, because those are the things that are going to keep that spark, that person alive in a good way. It's like some of us may be from a rough home, but as we get older, it seems like we remember less of the bad stuff and remember the good things. And those are the things that helps us to be more resilient. Those are the things that help us be more strong. And those help us feed and tell stories to our young ones. As a frontline worker, I know it's hard, is because they might have 3 or 4 like constant, it's like a rolling door, revolving door, where people are just going right, left, and center. And then there's that fear about, oh, not again, you know. Don't get me wrong, I'm not numb, but I get tired of hearing that, oh, they could have lived a better life, but they did live a good life. Their choice of how they lived their life was theirs. All we have to do is respect that and celebrate them. I get so tired of people, when people die of cancer or die of AIDS, is one thing. But when a person, then they do, I want to do a celebration of life for this individual. I didn't do that. Hey, then do it. But when it comes to someone that through substance, they have, I don't see it. We want to do a celebration of life. And I go, wow, this is some tricky shit. Oh, sorry. This is tricky. Um, like, why can't we just honor them? They're people. They're our friends. They're a brother. They're our sister. Um, let's celebrate them. Tell the family we know they're gone in the spirit world. We know you're grieving, but is it okay? But ask the family, is it okay if we have a celebration of life for them? We did one here down in our area. And well, just for the people, because I live in a very high traffic drug area and a lot of homelessness. And we said, well, we just have a open house, not open house, we'll have a celebration of life for this one individual. They came into the office every once in a while. They helped in the kitchen every once in a while. So we sat at the table. There's 3 of us. We sat at the table. And the next thing you know, we called the mama and asked if it's okay if we had a celebration of life for this individual. And she said, oh, I'd love that. He would love that. And I said, okay, thanks. But we did get permission. We only thought we were going to get people from around the neighborhood that knew him. Well, holy shish. We had people from Michigan, Ohio, Toronto, Windsor, London. Like we had over 100 people at this celebration of life. The only 3 of us said we're going to do this for the community, but we didn't know how big or great that was going to get. So what we've ended up doing was saying that it was really important that we asked for permission to have the celebration of life, and we just move forward. Um, so this person used drugs. This person died from substance. So what we did was we honored him just like we'd honor anybody else, and gave the mother closure. She was surprised that he knew so many people, and she thanked us. And she said, I never realized that he was loved by so many. And so by doing that, I really find that, boy, it could be in your own community, it could be at your agency, it could be um, in a park, the favorite spot. But the whole concept of it is about being able to give that person the same respect, and doing those reflection stories, where the people all had a chance. just talk about this individual, about what they were like, what he was like before he started using substance. What then you had the other part of it that this what he was like when he was using. But you had people telling the truth. And the mother just sat there and wept that she heard the story of how he was and how he ended up being. And then she kind of connected it and she didn't blame herself. So with that, it was so powerful. It's like what I say, it's like it's really important to have that reflection story, um, and to have that. Um, journaling, journaling what that person's like, journaling about what we do. These are all part of navigating. Journal what you're going through, journal what your experience is. People in the office have a book where you can just journal. If that individual pops up in your head, you have the gift and the opportunity to write something down. You write your feelings, how you're, what's going on with you. What could you have done more? What could you have done less? Um, there's different resources. There's people from the band council. There's churches. There's a priest that you might like, traditional and non-traditional. But again, it's like honoring both paths, so that everybody gets that chance to reflect and have time to heal. And time don't heal all wounds. They really don't. Some people think it does. Some people says it gets easier. One of the things that I tell people that I work with is that you might remember the person's face. You might remember the activities that you used to do, but the first thing that goes is the voice. You don't remember the voice. And then I went through a piece with my mom. My mom's been gone for a number of years now. And I was out in the backyard in the garden working, and I was hearing music that my mom and dad used to dance to. And I started crying and go, wow, holy shit, I forgot what my mom looked like. What kind of son am I? You know, how can I do that to my, they brought me to this world, and I just went off. But what then I did, I went, whoa, I remember what she looked like. I don't remember what she sounded like. And so I talked to another elder, and that's what she told me. She says, we'll remember them. We remember them that brought us here. We remember the people that took care of us. But their voice, you're not going to remember. And it made sense. And she says it's like a whisper. And it's then all of a sudden it'll come back to you. But the voice will that's the first thing that goes. When we talk about time doesn't heal all wounds, where some things need to be really looked at, both as a frontline worker, how do we handle grief? How do we handle grief in the workplace? How do we handle grief in our community? So there's different tools and techniques that people can use collectively into doing that total healing. Um, like I kept saying, reflection is one of them. Being able to have dialogue, conversations about what that looks like. Journaling was another one. It's about keeping that journal and keeping, because that journal is a living document. The minute you start writing in it, it's a living document. And it's about how to share it. And then there's also that piece about grief care for yourself. Grief care for yourself, and your colleagues, your clients, and your community. Um, I'm on the board of directors for Positive Pathways here in Chatham-Kent area, and I like to do grief care for themselves because one of the members just passed, and I want to be able to help not just the colleagues and the community, but the clients, because so many of our clients grieve in silence. And when they grieve, oh, I'm all right, I'm all right. And I listen to them and then go, are you really? And then they look at me like I'm crazy. But what I try to do is give them that, call me anytime, but I'm not going to reach out and chase you. When you want to talk, I'll be there. I don't want to meddle because I know you have your own life. Even myself, I'm grieving a loss of my limbs. I'm grieving the loss of I had a heart attack and a stroke, blood thinners. Like I got this whole list going on for myself. But I look at that part where I grieve every day. When I get in this wheelchair and get out in the community, how am I going to get around? If I need help, who's going to help me? And it's up to me to ask for that help. It's up to me to be able to say, well, I can be the victim or I can be the volunteer. And I go, wow, I think I'm going to volunteer. I don't want to be a victim. But I have that choice. I have many friends in the CAAN family that when I first had my leg amputated because I was grieving, like, I don't like this. Nobody should ever live like this. Never thought about taking my life. Never thought about opiates or anything. But what they did, we were walking down the hall and I fell. And these are people that I loved and I trusted. And not one of them helped me up. Not one. And I felt good. And the reason why they didn't help me up is because how am I going to know if I can get up if I haven't tried? And I got up. They looked at me and they said, well, if you needed help, you would have asked. So I laughed and they laughed. And but that was good because that gave me about self-care. Um, I didn't grieve anymore. Now when I get out there, it's about moving forward and being proud and being resilient. Being able to look at the sky and say, Don, you're okay. And then being able to call Halifax, Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, and to check in with my friends out there and tell them I'm okay. You know, same day, but I'm okay. But I also check in with them. So it's that piece about self-care, checking in with your colleagues, checking in with your clients, and checking in with your community. Because your community may have been really impacted by, especially when someone moves on from using substance. I don't know what the new words are going to be for people that use substance or overdose substance. The list goes on. I don't know. But I hope they come up with an idea that it's going to be common, right across the board. This is the term we're going to use. Because I really believe that if we reach out more and be a little creative, and have an activity that we can do, be it Zoom, be a webinar across Turtle Island about activities we can do in our community to celebrate individuals, to help people or help families celebrate their loved ones. Staying connected to the values in your own ethics. It's really important to stay connected, especially navigating through grief, loss, trauma, and substance use. And how can we hear their story? I would like to see a book on people that use substance in their story. Just the small captures or 4 or 5 sentences about what it's like. You know, I want to be loved. I want to connect with my family, but I'm using substance, but I'm still loved. You know, stuff like that. So it's almost like a poem, but it's their own words rather than our words. When I work within our community, I kind of reach people at different levels of their life, where not everybody's going to be the same, not everybody's going to react to grief the same way. Not everybody is going to be able to want to be talked to. I don't want to talk about it right now. That's okay. But when you're ready, I'm open. And then, but it's also important to make sure that you are ready when that individual comes and that, well, give me 10 minutes, we'll talk. That doesn't work for me. And because I have an open at my office, I have a open door policy. My door's never open. I mean, never closed. If somebody comes in, that they want to talk. And it's usually just for men. But the women come in on during the week. And then these are some of the mothers that want to talk about their kids using substance. And I said, it's not that you're a bad mom, it's about you can't control your kid. You know, he's a grown man, he's out there on his own. The only thing you can do is love and support him. So with that being said, it's it just goes on and on and on. Like I'm really fortunate where I have the opportunity to do grieving processes. I have the opportunity to talk to colleagues. I have the opportunity of having elders. I have a smudge bowl and tobacco, on my desk, and we also have it in the common room. And if somebody wants that, or if someone dies, we have this fake tree that people take pieces of material and they tie it to the tree in remembrance of someone that died over the opiate crisis. And they want to honor that individual. And then what we're planning on doing was once the tree is full, we want to do a ceremony down on the beach. And we got not bus, but we have a number of people that have vehicles. So we're going to have a drive one afternoon or evening, take them down there, and we're also going to have a feast down there. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. So this is how we are going to celebrate it here, where I live at, in order to honor our brothers and sisters that have gone through the opiates, and grief, loss, some accidents, cancer, drug overdose, but also invite the families if they want to come. We'll tell them where we're going to be at, and if they would like, they're more than welcome to participate and come and be part of that celebration and honoring the ones that are gone. Wanted to be able. There's the other part about multiple losses. So there's multiple losses through, especially in our world today. It's where for like myself, I said earlier, like I had 9 deaths of friends in a month, 9. And so that is my multiple losses. And then now they're younger than me and they go, holy shoot. Well, then I start questioning my own health. I start questioning about, when's my turn? And then I said that to an elder one day, and she told me that it ain't your time because the creator's got something planned for you. I looked at her, crossed my eyes, and she just started giggling, because I have so much to give yet, and to give out so much information, so much data, and to teach. And I think I want to be able to teach somebody the skills that I have and I know, pass it on to somebody else. Because number one, everything that I'm talking about, everything that I'm doing, it's not mine. It belongs to the creator. Everything that comes from my house, we're every one of us on this site today. We're all spirit. And everything that we do comes from the creator, God, whoever you want to call him. It comes through, down, and out of our mouth. And I really believe that once we understand our own grieving process, our own isolation, our own reflection, our own multiple loss, our own, and then and collective grieving. And the unfortunately in the AIDS world, that's a collective grieving, because if one goes, then everybody hears about it. Everybody is grieving this individual. And the people that work for different organizations, that's a collective loss. But have we took the time to ask colleagues, clients, a community, how do they feel? That's collective. And so, because everybody is going to react and be part of that differently. So what I try to do is I asked if they wanted me to do slides or how they want to do it, but I was told to be authentic, and I went, "Oh, that's easy." So anyway, I'm really glad that I was asked to be part of this. I'm also glad that I was able to help or give a little bit. If everything that I've talked about today didn't mean, it meant a lot, but if you came out of here with one or two things, we're all doing our work. And we're all going to be learning how to grieve and how to deal with reflections, multiple losses, community, multiple, the list goes on, in a good way. Thanks.
Thank you, Donald. I really appreciate you being here today. So yes, as we come to a close of the recording of today's session, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all who have contributed to this meaningful experience. So thank you, Dawn, for your insightful presentation and for sharing your knowledge with us. A special thank you to our elder, Betty McKenna, for guiding us with her wisdom and her prayers. And I would also like to thank the participants for joining us today and journeying together as we explore these vital topics. And so your presence and engagement is so impactful. And so also a reminder is that I will be sharing a link for the feedback survey and for entering for a chance to win a $25 gift card. So I will stop the recording and we will open it up for Q&A. And just 1 second.